Hey guys, Sandra here for Stars and Palm, and I'm coming to you bringing you an NSD layout, which is a National Scrapbooking Day, and I know I'm super late, but I was tagged by Adele from Inkie Quill, hey girl, and she was doing a challenge with the Scrappery, which is a YouTube channel here, and they were challenging people to do basically mint, gold, stars, stencil, and paint as the challenge. And I thought, if this wasn't already challenging, I would just challenge myself to do a 12 by 12 layout. Yes, you heard right. This is going to be my first 12 by 12 layout that I do here on my YouTube channel. I don't know why I decided this was a good idea, but I did. I just thought it would be fun to do something different. I could have done a Project Life layout, but I just decided I would do a 12 by 12 just for fun and to challenge myself furthermore. So yeah, that's kind of what I ended up happening here. So just keep in mind that like I was in high school last time I did a 12 by 12 layout, so it's kind of like a big deal that I'm even attempting this, but I thought it would be fun and why not? So I put some like that aqua colored paint in white in that little dish there, thinking that it was going to end up looking a little bit more mint, but that didn't really happen. To me, it kind of looks more of like, I don't know, like a lighter aqua than it does a mint. And there's my head. I decided to just, put the paint on the actual white 12 by 12 paper and then use a little straw to kind of like create a splatter looking effect. So that's kind of hard to do without getting your head in the camera angle, but yeah, that's kind of what I started off with because at first I was like, okay, so what now? Especially because when you're not used to doing certain things and you're just used to Project Life, it's a completely different mindset to get into when you're working on a 12 by 12 piece of paper versus smaller papers. So I'm using some molding paste with this stencil. It is like a, what do you call it, a screen print, so it's very similar to a stencil, so I figured this would fall into the category of the rules, and I did decide to kind of like use that to create some dimensional stars, and my idea was originally that I would go over those stars with the Inca Gold you see I have there and just kind of rub my fingers over that because molding paste usually rises up so you can kind of like add that little extra detail, but it didn't quite work out the way I thought it would, and it might be because of the fact that I used screen print, so the molding paste wasn't quite as risen as it normally is when you use a regular stencil. So that was kind of a fail, and I kept trying to think like, oh, I'll save it, maybe if I use a pink, not a pink, this like gold pen thing, and just right over the actual stars, that would make it look better, but it really didn't, so I ended up just kind of like wiping that off and letting it go and kind of being like, you know what, I'm just going to have those stars be like, tone on the background and just leave it like that and add my gold in a different way. So yeah, it didn't quite work out, but just figured I'd leave it in there for you guys so you can see that, yeah, stuff happens. So now I'm just cutting some paper around my actual photo that I'm going to use for this layout, and that is from Crate Paper. I can't remember the collection right now, but it's one of their newer collections, and I will link it in the description box if I can remember to for you guys, so you can check it out. And also, if you guys haven't checked the last video I posted about printing your photos for the Canon Pixma, you should totally do that because I ended up making that video because I know a lot of you guys asked me how I print my photos for Project Life, so if you have any questions about that kind of stuff, you should definitely check out that video, and I will leave it in the description box below as well if you guys want to check it out. And I did add some staples to this photo. I just thought it would add a little extra detail to it, and I liked it. And I was going for a more whimsical look. I figured I'd already started that by using that paint, so I was going for like squares that weren't completely straight, adding that pink vellum just to add a little bit more color and to ground those a little bit more. And I really actually like the way that looks. Like, considering I haven't done a 12 by 12 layout like in so many years, I'm actually pretty proud of myself that it, like, it came out the way it did. Like, I think it looks decent. So now I'm using some gold thread, and I'm kind of just like playing with the strings and pulling them apart because I want them to be more singular and stuff and just get it ready. I definitely think doing 12 by 12 layouts is kind of similar to Project Life in the sense that the more you do it, the more you kind of develop your own style and get more comfortable with it. I'm sure if I did 12 by 12 layouts regularly, I might feel more comfortable doing them than I did necessarily on this video, but I still think that all things considered, I actually like the way that it came out, so I guess that's all that really matters. So I created that little circle with the gold thread. I thought that looked really cool there, and I figured I'd just staple it, opposed to trying to glue it and getting like all messy and all that. And then I had that little ampersand that's in a scallop that I actually had from an ephemera pack that also matches the crepe paper that I'm using. So I just decided to kind of just stick that on there with some dimensionals right on where the gold thread is, and I really love that. You guys know my obsession with ampersands. So I was like, okay, this will look cool, and maybe I could even like mix it in with the title. So that was kind of like the idea for it. I was just slowly building this up, and then I found these letters that I had in my stash for a while, which were from Basic Grey and their Hey Girl collection, and they have like a light pink with craft, and they actually went perfect with this crepe paper collection that I was using. So that was not intentional, but I thought it looked really good. So I decided to glue those down, and for some reason I was having like an issue with the gluing of these letters. Like, I don't know if it's because after I used the paint, the paper warped a little bit so it wasn't lying completely flat. So maybe that's why, because normally I don't have an issue using Tombow monomulti when gluing things down. So for some reason this was giving me a little bit of an issue. But in the end they did stay down. I just had to add a little bit of pressure. And had I not been filming on camera, I probably just would have put like a little weight over that. Like, I don't know, something heavy to hold it down for a minute or two just to get it on there, because sometimes you have to kind of hold things down for a second to just kind of get it to stay. And then those flowers you see on the bottom that I kind of added off camera for a sec, I was playing with the idea of adding those. They're not like glued down there, they're just kind of like hanging out there because I like to play and see what looks good on there. But I do end up using those. I actually really like those, and those are also from the ephemera pack that I use that matches with this collection. And like I said, I will try to remember to link everything in the description box. I've been kind of like bad about that, but I'm getting better at it. So, and my title is kind of like Love and Sun, which I thought was kind of appropriate because, you know, I'm in Arizona with the person I love. And then also there's sun everywhere. So I just thought that was like, I don't know, I thought that it was a cute title and it made kind of sense to me. So, and since I don't really like constantly feel the need to put titles on things, I just thought it would be like kind of a play on words or something. And then that little circle is also from the ephemera pack that is from the same collection, and it has a little star on it, so I figured that element brought in kind of like the star element again, and it also had gold glitter, so you know, that was a win-win. And then I also added some foam tape to these flowers as well to just kind of like add dimension. Since the little ampersand is on foam tape, I figured this should be two to kind of balance that out. So I added that as well. And it's always nice when you get to use flower ephemera because sometimes it's hard for me to like incorporate that. So kind of 12 by 12 layouts are kind of made to be able to use these type of pieces in my opinion. So I really like those. And then I decided I wanted to add some journaling, so I just pulled out my ruler for a quick second so I could make some lines that were like somewhat straight. Normally I don't even use a ruler, but I just was like in the mood to use a ruler, I guess. And I was just using my Sharpie fine point, and I figured I would start from there, and if I needed more lines, I would add more lines for my journaling, which I did end up needing more lines, but whatever. You guys will see that I added them. And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the picture that I showed you guys of this, where it was like all coming together and like my wording and stuff. So I ended up really liking this, and I would love to see if you guys created anything. You can always tag me on Instagram if you want me to see it or mention me, and you know. And if you guys like this layout, please let me know and tell me what you think. Constructive criticism though, please. And as always, subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Thumbs up this video, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm just adding some lines around the corners of these just to bring it together because, you know, I'm not trying to add too much more to it, and I like the way that it looks just like